and my church is located in the 46218 zip code, and it's one of the worst zip codes in the city of Indianapolis. And I just wanted to do something to offer help and hope. I couldn't get to the healing until I tried something to help folk. And so I said, listen, I'm going to start at 5:45 a.m. in the morning offering just character development conversation, not really a class, but a conversation around character development to try to figure out what was causing the real issues of the crime and shooting. And my first year, I think I probably met with about 40 men. And to this day, we see anywhere between 100 to 300 men at 5:45 a.m. in the morning. And I started to just talk to them about the issues that was pushing the crime in their area, and it evolved into this piece that I call boot camp that works on the internal issues of a man's character and move from there to help him to develop his life skills. To this day, boot camp has now moved from just character development to life skills and leadership development. To the guys that have been in my program, they are going back into the school system, helping to develop young boys and young girls. They are going into the prison system, mentoring and coaching inmates in the prison system because of the real transformation that has taken place in their own lives. Some of the underlying issues is that a lot of this is pushed by trauma. Whether it was trauma in growing up as a kid, trauma that they face with their communities, there's some sort of unresolved that is pushing the behavior of that individual. And oftentimes you can't see this with just eyesight. You got to have some, and since I'm a practitioner of faith, some keen insight to kind of look within the souls of people. And I've been doing this now for probably 15 years, and some of it is fatherlessness in the homes that push it. Some of it is two-parent households where dad and mom is there, but the kid is disconnected. And then some of it is just that kid being taught by its peers. And what I've concluded in dealing with the men and women that's a part of my program is that the real underlying issue has to be addressed, and you cannot address it with just programs alone. You got to move people to understand that they got to take a deep look in the mirror at themselves and understand that unless the pain, the change is greater than the pain to remain the same, they won't change if they face the issues that they're dealing with. I think it all starts with the family. Family was set up before government, not government before family. And when I think about my own family, my mom had 15 children, 11 boys and 4 girls. My dad, bless his heart, was an alcoholic the biggest of his life. Praise God for the last 4 years before he passed. God blessed him to become clean and become a member of my church, and I celebrate his recovery. But, you know, as the family goes, so goes the community. Now, my mom still is a great Christian woman, and she was the stabilizer of our family. However, my mom and dad was married for 25 years before they divorced. I was in the 5th grade when they divorced, because when my dad would get intoxicated, all of these other things that my mom would try to instill in us, Dad would just tear it down. Now here's the issue when you really look at the family unit and the family values. You know, Two-parent households can be a blessing, but they also can be a cursing. My mother was the one who stabilized us during those times of dad, as he would get drunk, and then he would come back home. She'd take him back, get drunk again. He would come back home. She would take him back. She finally said no more. She took a stand. So the character development of some families can kind of be topsy-turvy, because you see one thing right on Sunday, and then Monday through Friday, you see something totally different. However, the stabilizer has to be, whether it's mom or dad. And in my predicament, it was my mother. And here's what happened. She said, regardless of what you see your father do, I'm not giving you permission to act like him. I'm teaching you to respect authority, mind your teachers, and when you go to school, I expect you to get your grades. People who don't have strong parents. Like I said, I have a strong mother. People who don't have families with strong values. What happens is that they allow other people to dictate how they actually view their circumstance. Now, keep in mind, I said my mom didn't give us a reason to make an excuse. But I run across people all the time who are succumbing to the labels of society because they don't have no one to change the narrative about their predicament. My mother changed the narrative about my predicament. Some kids, when I go to school now, we're in schools mentoring, and even in the prisons. And a lot of people are listening to social media, the news, and that is shaping their narrative. You got to connect with someone who is not going to use excuses for an answer and let them shape the narrative.